There's a curfew imposed. Imphal East and West districts are under curfew and there are prohibitory orders in Taobal. Streets are barely populated with odd cars and two-wheelers passing by. The market area is nearly empty with most shops closed. The Manipur government on Tuesday suspended the internet for 5 days because Manipur violence is once again back in national headlines. Students clashed with security forces during their protest march over the demand for the removal of the state's police chief on Tuesday. Everything turned chaotic.
Another tear shell fired right behind me here in this part. They have started marching from this side, the students and the other. So they have fired the tear shells to contain the crowd. As we see in the foothill in the bordering areas, the protest is escalating. Now the tear from the other side. Here you see the tear shells are being fired. The police is trying to contain and control the situation. And right behind me, you see here, you see the protesters have set a structure on fire and they are pelting stone. They are pelting stone. Look at this. As we stand here, they are pelting stone here in this part. And from the other side, the Manipur police is trying to maintain the law and order situation. That's a massive escalation in this part. And on the other side, you see this entire area, this all smoke. That's a tear shell. It's very difficult.
The clash between Metis and Cookies is once more boiling over, and it's back in the spotlight. Again, Manipur. It's been nearly 15 months since the first Meitei-Kuki clash in Manipur hit the national headlines.
The state remains on the edge for another day after more clashes between Meitei and Kuki tribal.
It all started with the now revoked Manipur High Court order asking Metis be included in scheduled tribe list. The valley and its surrounding hills burnt in hatred, anger and communal violence for months in 2023. Even at the turn of the year, things haven't gone back to the peaceful days of pre-2023 April order. It was the heated point of debate in the first session of new parliament after the general elections of 2024.
देश निराशा की गर्त में डूब चुका था। ऐसे समय,
if you have an iota of concern for this state, there would not have been a silence. There would not have been a silence in this house, nor in the presidential address. Yes. It is sad to see a nationalist party like the BJP will feel comfortable with the silence on the tragedy of Manipur.
3 more months later, in September 2024, Manipur is back in India's conscience, crying out loud to remind the rest of the country of how the cancer of inter-communal mistrust has taken deep root. No remedy or healing touch seems to have any impact at all.
When the drones from the hilly areas, the hilly terrain, hit this Kotuk village, and here all you see is the footprint of that violence. When the drone came, they dropped certain bombs that led to killing of 2 people in this village. Nearly 9 of them were injured, later taken to the hospital. And now you see the properties, everything is literally burned down, including several houses. You see, when the drones were used in a multiple numbers, there were not single drone, 3 to 4 drones came down. So one, drone which flight through this area dropped 1 bomb right here, and you can see the roof actually damaged. So the villagers were, of course, they were forced to leave this place.
On 1st September, 2 improvised explosive devices dropped from quadcopters on unarmed villagers in the Kotruk village in Manipur. This set a cat among pigeons in the strife-torn state. The state BJP government, headed by a Meitei chief minister, marked it as a spanner, and it dispatched teams not only to provide security to villagers, but also ordered a cordon and search operation. Even as cordon and search operations were underway, there were reports of a second drone terror strike. The second attack left a 23-year-old woman and 2 others injured in the Imphal West district.
10:30 बजे करीब हम लोग सोया नहीं था उस समय 3 बम फटा यहाँ पे 3 बम फटा और 1-2 बम जो है कम से कम मेरे ख्याल से 3 बम जो है यहाँ पे बिना फटे यहाँ पे पड़ा है और एक बम तो जो नहीं फटा है और हमने आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया.
This was the first instance of drones being weaponized in this conflict.
The armed village defense force in the bordering areas have deployed these kind of spotters, long-range binoculars, to spot their rivals who are armed in the hilly areas, the tribals, who are very aggressive, and often there is a firing. And spotting the location is very important to notice when the drone and where it is coming from or where the firing is coming from. And here in the camps, what you see is just the basic to survive. All you see are the water bottles, the food, and of course, for the communication, they use the radio sets to pass the messages. The drone on 1st of September dropped a bomb here in the village defense camp. Look at this. Perhaps realizing the location that where these people will be guarding and looking at this is one of such bunker.
And since then, things have once again spiraled out of control in this northeastern state of India. Manipur is a small state with a population of 2.8 million, ranking 24th among the populous state index of the country. Of these, 53 are Hindu Meiteis, living mostly in the Imphal Valley. The current Chief Minister of the state, Biren Singh, serving his second term, is also from the Meitei community. Nagas with 24% are the second largest ethnic community, and then there are different Kuki, Zomi, Mizo, Chin tribes. Traditionally, Manipur is the land of Meiteis and the Nagas. Kukis, who share the same ethnic culture and language, migrated from Myanmar as the Chin, Zomi and other tribes. Nagas and all these tribes are mostly Christians. They live predominantly in the hill regions of Manipur. Of the 16 districts of the state, 6 are in the Imphal Valley, where the maximum of Manipur's population resides. Meiteis belong either to scheduled caste or OBCs. They have 40 assembly seats of the total 60 seats to themselves. All others belong to scheduled tribe status. The Meitei Tribe Union started an argument that the Meitei community was recognized as a tribe before the merger of the princely state of Manipur with the Union of India in 1949. But it lost its identity as a tribe after the merger. To preserve the community and save the ancestral land, tradition, culture and language of the Meiteis, they wanted the tribal identity back. All others like the Nagas and Kukis enjoying scheduled tribe status protect their land and can buy land beyond the hills, while Meiteis don't enjoy the similar privilege. This became the flashpoint when the High Court order paved the way for Meiteis to be included in the ST list. Following violent clashes, the order was revoked, but it could not bridge the gap that has now led to barbed wire bunkers watching territories of respective communities, ready to pounce on each other, ready to kill, ready to fight. On 9th September, the body of a former soldier was found in the valley near Segmai in Imphal West district. Lim Kholal Mate, a former Havaldar in the Assam regiment, was a resident of Modbung in Kangpokpi.
I just see the videos and I just know that
saw his picture, the video.
a videotape of him dead, found, and then I just know that it was my father.
Police complaint record says that Lim Kholal Mate was kidnapped allegedly by the Meitei armed group Arambai Tengol on 8th September.
Ever since the conflict started and turned into deadly violence in Manipur, buffer zone were drawn between the areas dominated by two different communities. Here where I am is the Kangpokpi district. This is where the Kangpokpi district territory begins. And right behind me where the district of Imphal begins. Now between these two districts, there are checkpoints made and there's a huge perimeter that have been drawn to keep the two different communities at bay, at far from each other. And this place is called as the buffer zone. Imagine, this is kind of a line of control, and ever since the violence started, people from the other side in the valley do not come here in the hilly areas, and subsequently the people in the hilly areas do not cross over this buffer zone, because right after crossing buffer zone, in this particular part of Kangpokpi and Imphal, there is an area dominated by Nepalis and also the Nagas. But as per the FIR and as per the complaint, El Meitei on the evening by mistaken crossed over the buffer zone area and he reached to the other side where he was allegedly abducted and beaten to death as per the FIR. Now imagine the situation of a state where two districts have a line of control, a long buffer zone being guarded by the police and the central forces, and the worsening situation is that whenever member from one community cross over this buffer zone reaches to the other side, there is threat to life, and that's what happened with the next soldier who was killed by mistakenly crossing over the buffer zone in Manipur.
Meiteis and Kukis have set up checkposts near the buffer zones to control entry and exits.
अगर कोई कुकी नीचे चला गया मेइतेई इलाकों में क्या होगा?
उन लोग वो माल डालता है ना, इसलिए हम लोग इधर चेक किया. हम लोग का आदमी भी इधर चेक किया है और मेइतेई भी घुसना नहीं देता है. हम लोग भी उधर नहीं घुसता है.
There seems to be a point of no return between the two tribes that once lived together in relative peace.
The only solution now is the separate administrations. We have our own separate administrations. They have their own separate administration. Then only peace and peace will be prevailed. There is no other option at all. This is the only solution.
The Committee on Tribal Unity that represents Kukis has declared that they will defend their land and opposes the state government's proposal to take complete charge of security.
So the first point is anything that is to do with the state government of Manipur, the Kukijos will not accept. That is one. And the other point is that in any eventuality of attack or atrocities that's met at us, we will respond in the same.
Today, Meiteis are mostly confined in Imphal Valley and Kukis in the surrounding hills. The day Lim Kholal Mate was kidnapped near Segmai, that same day, a CRPF camp in Kangpokpi district was targeted. This attack followed an attempt to loot weapons from the battalion offices of Manipur Rifles in Imphal a few days before. The same day, there was a rocket-propelled grenade attack in the Moirang area of Bishnupur district. The grenade fell on the residence of Manipur's first Chief Minister, M. Koirang, killing a priest.
And I was just sitting here, and fortunately for me, I just went inside in my room.
You just escaped?
Yeah, luckily I escaped. So when suddenly when I reached that room, I heard that sonic boom, and then I instantly knew that
it was a sonic boom.
Yeah, it's pretty huge.
Tronglaubi village is 3 kilometers from Moirang. It came under attack the same day around 4:30 a.m. The villagers were woken up by a loud explosion.
The potential of explosion was such a huge with the sonic boom that it literally collapsed this thick wall of the toilet made in this particular house. So the bomb part which hit this area, the splinters spread all over, and since it was early morning, nearly 4:30, the people were sleeping inside, and because of this construction, their lives were saved. I have the part of these splinters which were just lying around here and there. Few parts have been recovered by the police for the investigation. These are so heavy, and that explains that foothill area and the valley where the massive confrontation in Bishnupur has been taking for over a year now. The RPG could have been really advanced and highly, sophisticated, improvised, because this splinter itself weighing more than 300 to 350 grams, and this is the smallest particle of the RPG you see in my hand.
We are in a traumatic condition right now. बच्चे को देखो, कभी कुछ सुनता है तो mama, like they will say, mama कहीं से drone bomb आ रहा है. Like जो छोटे-छोटे बच्चे हैं, उसके दिमाग में भी ये घुस चुका है, तो आगे जाके क्या होएगा? आप बता सकती हो, समझ सकती हो. जो भी यहाँ के locals, यहाँ पे बड़े छोटे जो भी है, they are going through this psychological trauma right now. और अभी सरकार की तरफ से भी हमारे यहाँ पे भी ये नहीं होएगा, वो नहीं होएगा, कुछ भी ऐलान नहीं हुआ है.
Following the drone attacks, the hills and valley of Manipur has been burning constantly.
How many drones did you see that day?
3-4 drones.
3 to 4 drones?
Drones, yeah. 3-4 drones, they are doing the drones bombing. It is illegal war. I want to say it. Does it the cookie handle our government and in their government?
In Manipur, where the valley ends and the hills begin, the Kuki-controlled land starts. A long buffer zone demarcated by the central forces separates the Kukis and Meiteis. Between them sits a fragile peace. It gets shattered at the slightest of provocation.
The periphery and the foothill areas remain vulnerable even after 1 year of the violence. Still there are firing. Cross-firing takes place from both the sides. And I'm being escorted by one of the locals to the areas where there's a bunkers made. Even there are buffer zones on the main roads, but the rural areas, the villages or the farming land, there are bunkers made from both the sides, including by the Kukis and the Meiteis. And that's where they say protecting their land, their territory from any sort of aggression. And this has been happening for nearly a year now.
Deep inside Kangpokpi district, Kuki youth are holding fort. Trenches and bunkers are in place. Young men with guns from the village form the defense forces for the community. Most of them have dropped out of college after hostilities began in 2023 May.
So you were in college studying before the conflict?
Yeah, before the conflict, I used to go to college. After the conflict, I didn't go to college and defend my nation.
The volunteers are armed with communication sets, improvised guns and bullets.
This is a Shaktiman, what do we call, iron, the steering rod.
And ये क्या है?
And this is a magazine, which we make.
It's a magazine?
Initially, we used to put only one. We used to put, like this one, we used to put inside only one bullet. But now, instead of, putting one each bullet inside this one, we used to make this magazine.
The Kukis have been accused of using drones and rocket-propelled grenades, the reason for recent spark in violence. They deny the charge, but admit using what they call Pompi guns.
We call it Pumpi. Some used to call it cannon, but it's not RPG. I just want to clarify it. And secondly, this can't be in a long range. Whenever
the range of this?
Maximum 10 feet or at the most 12 feet.
Drones, they claim, are being used for surveillance only. Both Meitei and Kuki communities have defense forces. The youth of Manipur are divided on the lines of their tribal allegiance, and the social fabric of united identity of the people of Khangle Park is lost today. Over 50,000 people have been internally displaced in Manipur since 2023 May. Caught between the relative silence of the ruling dispensation in New Delhi and the dramatized eloquence of the opposition, the cry of Manipur is lost once again.